This 39 Dunedin News Bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on 39 Dunedin News, the supreme winner of the Community Awards credits the work of those who operate behind the scenes. The topic of whether or not tertiary education should be free is about to get an earring from those directly involved. And a local dance troupe sets its sights on representing New Zealand in a competition in Miami. Good evening, Dunedin. I'm Rebecca Dupree. The efforts of more than 500 local volunteers have been recognised in an annual awards ceremony. Presbyterian Support Otago picked up the top prize in last night's Trustpower Dunedin Community Awards, and staff accrediting those working behind the scenes.
Finding a home for an impressive trophy. Presbyterian Support Otago is this year's supreme winner in the Trustpower Dunedin Community Awards. It's an honour that staff are crediting to the contributions of the organisation's many volunteers.
We're really excited and ecstatic about the win last night. It's an important award to win for us, and because volunteers are a really important part of our organisation. They help us run and do all the programs that we do now.
Presbyterian Support was acknowledged because of the breadth of its work in the community, helping young and old through a variety of programs. The recognition also comes with a $1,500 cash prize, which staff say will certainly come in handy.
Sure, it's a helpful bonus, but anything that we get that helps our volunteer program sort of function and be active really helps the organisation, because without volunteers in our organisation we wouldn't do what we are able to do now.
The organisation isn't the only award winner. The Dunedin Night Shelter Trust received a Health and Wellbeing Prize for its recent fundraising efforts. Friends of the Globe Theatre also picked up a top accolade, as did several other groups nominated in different categories. For Borthwick, the awards aren't just about recognising specific programs, but the work organisations do across the board.
I think it's a recognition of what we've been doing for a long time. Now, obviously the organisation's been active in our community for over 100 years now, and volunteers have always been a really important part of that.
While the achievement surprised staff, Borthwick says it's well deserved, with so many people working behind the scenes to keep the organisation going. Some will be gearing up for a trip to Rotorua for the National Awards in March, but until then there's plenty of time to savour the local win. Ruby McAndrew, 39 Dunedin News.
New Zealanders killed or injured on the job have been acknowledged in a small local ceremony for Workers' Memorial Day. About 30 people gathered at the Market Reserve to mark the International Day of Remembrance. Union representatives spoke about the preventable nature of employee deaths, naming asbestos as one of the country's leading workplace killers. At least 46 Kiwis have died while working in the last year. Locals placed 60 crosses at the reserve, representing those who've lost their lives at work in Otago and Southland since 1992. The midday ceremony ended with a minute's silence. University of Otago debaters are preparing for a battle of the brains about a topical opposition policy. Members of the university's debating society will be publicly discussing the issue of whether tertiary education should be free, and they're hoping it gets more students thinking about politics.
Reading up on some relevant points. The student is preparing for the Otago University Debating Society's public event, looking at the topic of higher education.
Tonight we're holding a public debate with student speakers on whether tertiary education should be free. It's based on Labor's recent policy announcement, so we think it's really good to get students discussing those issues, what they think of them, to get them interested in politics for the upcoming election.
A team of 6 debaters will divide to argue for or against the idea in a public forum. Students associated with Young Labour will be on the affirmative, and the Young Nats will be taking the negative side. Tertiary loans and allowances are a topical subject, and the students say there's more to it that needs to be looked at.
I don't think the status quo works at all, but I think the focus needs to be on living costs, because it's really difficult to live off $175 a week, which is approximately what the living costs are at the moment, especially in centres like Auckland and Wellington. So I think that needs to be a concern.
As at 2014, the average Kiwi student loan debt stood at around $24,000. Labour is proposing to provide free tertiary education for 3 years, following countries like Sweden and Finland. The Debating Society hopes the topic not only engages students, but gets them thinking about politics in a wider sense.
We think it's a really good way to get students interested in politics because it's obviously really relevant to us, and we know from our experiences in tertiary education what the job outlook is, what kind of skills are needed, whether or not they're developed through tertiary education. So whether it should be free is a question most students should have a stake in.
Residents of all walks of life are also being urged to attend the debate being held tonight on campus. Annabelle Dick, 39, Dunedin News.
A much smaller number of residents have given feedback on the Dunedin City Council's annual plan compared to previous years. The council has received 602 submissions on the plan, which highlights priorities and suggests spending for the next financial year. Last year there were almost 4 times as many submissions. Next Wednesday, a hearing is starting for the 78 submitters who've asked to present their cases to the council. That's the lowest number of vocal submissions in at least 6 years. The most popular topic is cycleways. The hearing is set down for 2 days. A Dunedin-based Salsa Troopers is preparing to represent New Zealand at an international competition in the United States. The team recently qualified for the World Latin Dance Cup being held in Miami later this year, and members have money on their minds as they focus on perfecting their routine.
Practicing some fancy footwork. Members of Welter Dance, the current National Salsa Open champions, are polishing their routine ahead of an international competition in Miami. It'll be the first time a ladies team from New Zealand have competed at that level, and they're working hard to ensure they get there.
We are practicing really hard. There's a lot of work involved in getting a whole bunch of ladies doing exactly the same things at the same time on stage while having fun doing it. But the fundraising at the moment is a huge drive. At the moment we've started off with a boosted campaign, so a crowdfunding campaign where people pledge to pledge their support to help us get over there.
The 9-person team is aiming to raise $10,000 for the trip, both online and through a number of community events. Welter Dance formed in 2012, offering women a chance to compete in salsa without needing a partner. Their skills have seen them place top 3 in every competition they've entered, but this latest accolade is their biggest achievement to date.
It's the first time the World Latin Dance Cup has come to New Zealand, so qualifying to go straight through to the semi-finals of such a major world competition, for us it's sort of inspirational, and it pushes us to I guess perform to a different level, but it also gives us the opportunity to sit and to watch those inspirational dances that we've only ever been able to watch on YouTube in person.
While the majority of the team is based in Dunedin, a handful of members live elsewhere in the country. It's a challenge getting everyone together in person to practice, but Crawford says that's where technology comes in.
We train a bit through sort of video link, I guess, or where we post videos. We practice together in the one place whenever we can get together. I mean, the away members work really hard, and it is challenging, but I guess it's the coolest thing is that this whole dance team brings a really big community of girls together.
The team plans to compete with the same routine they qualified with, but with a few tweaks and much more polish. In the lead up to the Miami competition, an external coach will be brought in to get to that next level and hopefully deliver a win come December. Ruby McAndrew, 39, Dunedin News.
Still to come on 39 Dunedin News, residents join forces to protect South Dunedin and its infrastructure, and we meet the 20-year-old student who started his own taxi business.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell menswear, it fits.
It's on again. The Star Regent 24-hour book sale starts noon 10th June. Don't miss out!
New Zealand Beeswax Limited are the quintessential beeswax, woodware and beekeeping suppliers. From the amateur beekeeper to the commercial operator, New Zealand Beeswax Limited has the quantity to meet your needs. For great prices, great service New Zealand-wide, contact New Zealand Beeswax Limited on 03 693 9189 or visit www.beeswax.co.nz.
Oui, tu vas
For professional, reliable and approachable service where your dream kitchen design can become an affordable reality, contact the team at Kitchens for Less. Call 455 9973 or visit us online.
Mobility Scooters Otago. Mobility scooters, new and used, electric manual wheelchairs, strollers and walkers. Free home demonstration and delivery. Call Tony on 03 455 2875 or visit our showroom, 211 Canudwood Street, opposite Westpac.
Garrador Dunedin, delivering quality stylish garage doors in Dunedin for over 15 years. New doors, replacement doors, repairs and maintenance are all part of Garrador's quality service. Garrador Dunedin offers a full range of modern quality doors to suit any home. Come visit the team at 553 Kaikoai Valley Road. Visit www.garrador.co.nz or call us on 488 5676.
Here's something else to look forward to sinking your teeth into every weekend with the Otago Daily Times. The Weekend Mix, your guide to what's hot in fashion, entertainment, food and more. New weekend magazine in your ODT. Pick up your copy this Saturday.
Welcome back. The Reserve Bank has kept the official cash rate unchanged at 2.25%. That comes as no surprise for many business commentators and will be pleasing to mortgage holders. Following this morning's announcement, the New Zealand dollar jumped 1.3% against the greenback. The Reserve Bank says some easing may be needed to get inflation back to its target. Governor Graham Wheeler is expected to cut the OCR to 2% in June. And on that note, let's take a look at today's financials. The NZX 50 has closed the day up 40 points, it's now at 6,790. The Nikkei has taken a tumble down 494 points. To the exchange rates, the Kiwi dollar is down against the yen, but we are up against the other currencies we follow. Members of the South Dunedin Action Group are calling on authorities to improve local infrastructure. They're concerned the community is not properly protected against heavy rainfall and flooding like what was seen last June. Group leader Claire Curran joins us to explain. Good evening.
Good evening.
What are the group's immediate concerns?
Well, the most important concern is the need for a dialogue with the City Council and to ensure that they are being taken seriously and being listened to. The next priority is really to get some sort of action plan in place so that the community can be reassured that any of the infrastructure issues that led to the severity of last year's floods won't happen again this year when there's a heavy rainfall. And I think that's probably the most urgent issue, because people are anxious and stressed and don't really feel as if they've been listened to, or that there's any way that they can be listened to. So that's why this group is formed.
How many people are involved in the group?
Well, so there was a public meeting in South Dunedin at the beginning of March. Nearly 300 people turned up to that, and out of that meeting came a mandate for a smaller group to seek a meeting with the council, which is what we're still trying to do. A meeting date has been set for next Tuesday, so it's the 3rd of May. The group's got around 14 members at the moment. I'm sure that will grow.
How do you think infrastructure upgrades should be paid for?
Well, I think what we need to talk about first is infrastructure maintenance and making sure that that's being done properly. I think there's debate as to whether we need to upgrade our infrastructure, our stormwater system. I mean, it stands to reason that if there are problems in South Dunedin, there will be problems elsewhere in the city. And I think we've just got to get the basics right, and I'm not sure that we have. And I think that's what we need to be talking about. The whole issue has been kind of hijacked by it's going to cost billions of dollars to upgrade the whole system. Well, we don't need to upgrade the whole system, we just need to get the system working properly in the first place. And then it's been hijacked by saying, oh, well, climate change is the result, is the reason for the flooding. Well, it wasn't. Yes, there is rising groundwater and rising water table in South Dunedin. That's been happening for a long time. We know that, but that isn't what caused the severity of the flooding. The fact that the core infrastructure, whether it was the pumps at Portobello pumping station in Portobello Road in Musselburgh, or there was another pumping station at Musselburgh, or whether it was the mud tanks, none of them were working properly, and that's what we need to be reassured about.
Is the group planning any action over and above meeting with the authorities?
Well, first step is to try and get a dialogue happening, a respectful dialogue, where the community feels as if it's being listened to. There will be another public meeting because there's a commitment being given to do that. And the council is talking about what they call a comms plan. Well, a comms plan actually isn't a one-sided thing. It involves two sides where the people are listened to, and really what the council needs to do is take the trek out to South Dunedin, actually meet with people face to face and ask people what they want in their community and how they see their future. These are not all elderly, and it's not all people on low incomes. There's a lot of property owners being affected out in South Dunedin, a lot of business owners being affected, and there's schools, there's a lot of infrastructure. It's a big swag of Dunedin's population. It should be taken seriously.
From the South Dunedin Action Group, Claire Curran, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
After the break on 39 Dunedin News, a local student makes a Tuk Tuk work for him, and we take a closer look at the issues that are prompting a protest to be held at the hospital.
Sir Bob Charles, New Zealand's greatest golfer and still going strong.
I'm sure that Sportsville was a contributing factor to my success, and I'll continue to use it.
Sir Bob Charles Sportsville, a product so good he puts his name to it.
Well, I believe Sportsville helps maintain your quality of life.
Now being used by active men and women globally to support strength and mobility.
It works for me.
Sir Bob Charles Sportsville in the new all-black pack. Call now for the Sportsville special. 0800 502 402.
Déjà qu'on m'a demandé d'égalité sur la pointure des pieds, maintenant on voit. Oui, tu vas voir Marjolaine et le maquillage. D'accord, ok.
Finding that your grass seed just won't grow? Ready Lawn has the perfect solution for all those lawn woes. Call Ready Lawn today on 486 1819.
Mobility Scooters Otago. Mobility scooters, new and used, electric manual wheelchairs, strollers and walkers. Free home demonstration and delivery. Call Tony on 03 455 2875 or visit our showroom, 211 King Edward Street, opposite Westpac.
Tuk Tuk Limited have been supplying beekeeping equipment and honey products in New Zealand for over 100 years. A specialist manufacturer of hiveware and plastic products for the beekeeping industry. They are the leading supplier of beekeeping equipment nationwide. For all your beekeeping needs, visit ecrotech.co.nz or call 0800 117766.
Every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Tune in on Thursday for Motorsport Night on Dunedin Television.
Welcome back. A University of Otago commerce student has found a novel way to make money. The 20-year-old is transporting residents around the city on a rickshaw. Now he's gearing up to expand the business.
Pedaling to entrepreneurial success. This university student is taking residents from A to B in his Tuk Tuk taxi he invested in last year. It's a business he decided to start up locally after catching a ride on a Tuk Tuk in Auckland.
Well, it'd be a great idea, and they needed something like that in Dunedin, as there was no taxis or anything like that you could get for a cheap fare to do these cheap fares. So basically I went ahead and kind of got researching and got into seeing how I could set that up.
Rogers imported a Tuk Tuk from China that cost $3.5 grand from his own pocket. He runs his taxi business at least once a week on busy weekend nights for an even lower rate than typical taxis. Rogers has all his on-road permits, pays his taxes, has an FPOS system and even provides a sound system for customers.
Something funny always happens every night. People either try and overload or, I don't know, so there's always some kind of story that comes out, but I can't tell too many.
Business is going well, so he's expanding by investing in another Tuk Tuk with the help of a $5 grand grant from his iwi. Puna Pākehī is a Ngāi Tahu initiative that promotes the development and growth of business ideas by Ngāi Tahu people, and they've taken an interest in his project. He hopes his Tuk Tuk company kickstarts other business ideas he has in the works.
It's an awesome experience to have running a small business like this, and then from there I guess I want to be my boss future in life, so I want to be able to come up with an idea that I can sustain, and I guess, yeah, something that's going to make me enough money that I can be happy working as a everyday job.
Rogers doesn't plan to run Tim's Tuk Tuk for his whole life, but he hopes to pass the business on to another student with the same entrepreneurial mindset. Annabelle Dick, 39, Dunedin News.
The public outcry over meals given to Southern District Health Board patients is only growing stronger. The issue has reached Parliament and prompted a protest group to form. And Otago Daily Times health reporter Eileen Goodwin joins us to talk about it. Good evening.
Hello.
What's the crux of this issue?
Since the Compass Group introduced its menus to Dunedin Hospital patients and the Meals on Wheels service after the outsourcing, there's been a lot of complaints. There's been a lot of concern that the meals aren't up to scratch. There's been some very well publicised photos of the meals posted on social media and shown in mainstream media, and Compass has said it's rectified these issues. Some items have been withdrawn from menus, including quiche this week from the Meals on Wheels menu that looked very undercooked. So the question is really, how much of a problem is this still, and do we know the full extent of it?
How has the issue played out in Parliament?
So Jonathan Coleman has been almost teased about the issue. In a way, it's been played for laughs, with photos of these unappetising meals held up in Parliament and him goaded a little bit to try the meals, and that's what led to the taste test earlier this month at Dunedin Hospital.
Now, a protest group has been formed. Who's in that?
So that comprises Labour, the Greens, New Zealand First, unions, Grey Power, and presumably members of the public who also aren't happy about it, but we don't really know how many will turn up yet, but that's tomorrow.
What is their aim?
So they are officially calling for the contract to be terminated. So.
They've got Southland Mayor Tim Chabot and his deputy in that group. Is our mayor taking a stance?
No, we asked him earlier this week and he's not taking a stance. He did express concern last year when this was all mooted, but now he says it's not a ratepayer issue.
And what's the SDHB saying or doing about the issue?
Well, they're fielding the complaints. They say that they're holding Compass to account for the contract and working on resolving it, and they say it pretty much has been resolved, but they'll continue to look at it.
Otago Daily Times health reporter Eileen Goodwin, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
And now recapping tonight's top stories on 39 Dunedin News. Presbyterian Support Otago is the supreme winner of this year's Trustpower Dunedin Community Awards, honouring the work of volunteers. University students are preparing for a public debate about whether tertiary education should be free, hoping to spark political discussion. And members of a Dunedin-based Salsa Troupe are rehearsing for the World Latin Dance Cup, where they'll represent New Zealand in Miami. It's time now to find out what's going to be in Friday's Otago Daily Times, and we're joined by Craig Page. Good evening.
Good evening, Rebecca. Yeah, we're having a look at some interesting research which is looking at preserving sand dunes out at John Wilson Drive. There's a master's student, Tom Simon Smith, who's going to be cutting some grooves into the dunes there in a bid to try and promote sand to grow up, to be blown back into those dunes and prevent erosion rather than... the theory being the wind will push it towards the road rather than back out to sea. So we'll be looking. He's got a 6-month trial with the DCC on that, and could save the ratepayers plenty of money if it works. So, there's also a new proctor announced for the Otago University, Dave Scott, who's a well-known police officer around Dunedin. He's been involved on the day-to-day running of frontline police in Dunedin for a couple of years now, and also the policing of the Hyde Street Party. He's been involved there as well. So he's going to be taking up the role from May 30, well-versed with the students, so that'll be good for them as well. And from a sporting front, we're looking at Dunedin Club Rugby. Concerns this week with the Pirates Club, struggling to get a front row and may have to default at Premier level. There was a meeting last night of all clubs, and there's a general feeling around clubs that they're all struggling with props, and it may only be a matter of time before the number of teams drop from 10 to 8 in that competition.
Oh, very interesting. Read all about that in tomorrow's ODT. Thanks, Craig.
Thank you.
Time now for local weather.
This 39 Dunedin News weather update proudly brought to you in association with Silverhorn's Emu Oil.
Here is our city view. It's taken at the edge of the Botanic Garden next to the Leith. Around the city at 3 o'clock today, 17 degrees for the central city, 20 at the Gardens, 23 degrees on the Tyree. To the situation, and an anticyclone is moving across the Tasman Sea and onto the country. It's going to leave a light northwest flow to develop over the south at the weekend. To the forecast for some of the main towns on the lower South Island for tomorrow. Southwesters with a few showers for Invercargill, Gilgore and Tiana, all on 14. Some cloud about for Alexandra, otherwise dry with 16 degrees. Some cloud for Queenstown and Wanaka, and a southwest change for Oamaru with some cloud there, 17 degrees. A fine day for Twizel with 18. Dunedin tonight, fine with a low of 7. Tomorrow, sunny periods at first with westerlies, but a period of cooler southwesters will develop during the afternoon, and they'll bring with them some low clouds and a high of 17. And on Saturday, cloud clearing, sunny periods increasing with nor'easters developing at 15 degrees. And to the Otago Pallet Fires tidal and fishing information, high tide tomorrow morning is at 10 to 9, low tide follows at 20 to 4. And fishing conditions look reasonable for tomorrow, particularly at around 6 p.m. And that is local news for Thursday. We'll see you again tomorrow. Good night.
This 39 Dunedin News Bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.